Back with the WMAY morning news feed. I'm Greg Bishop. And now let's talk with the Chamber of Commerce to get reaction to Governor J.B. Pritzker's budget address yesterday. We just wrapped up a conversation with the Illinois Manufacturers Association focusing on the unemployment trust fund debt. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on in this conversation now with the Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Todd Maisch. Todd, thanks for taking time on WMAY. How you doing out there?
Good morning to you and all your listeners, and having driven in this morning, you do need to go slow, I will tell you that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I drove in as well, and that was 4 hours ago, and I can imagine it's gotten a little bit worse here, but if people are out and about, take your time, leave plenty of space between you and other vehicles. They have a no-tow order right now because of the ongoing winter condition, but definitely be safe out there. Probably best just to stay home. Todd, let's get right into it here. Of course, one of the big things the governor's office came out with before his speech was the nearly $1 billion in tax relief he's offering up. What did you hear yesterday in that package that really sticks out?
Yeah, I think that number one, we gave the governor some credit for his inclination for lessening the tax burden in Illinoisans. So we pay too much in taxes here in Illinois, so that even modest step in the right direction should be recognized, and we do so. However, we think that he's got the wrong mix of tax decrease proposals. I'm sure they're all very well poll tested in here in a political year, but I think that two of the proposals we really kind of would question. One very much so. The other is property tax relief, and that's where I think he's really got the sweet spot, and he really ought to double or triple down on property tax relief.
When it comes to the gas tax proposal to freeze the coming increase, July 1st, it's set to increase pegged to inflation. You guys put out a statement yesterday talking about how this looks like some kind of end run around the lockbox amendment. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Yeah, certainly. I think that finally, for the first time in a decade, we did go ahead and get strong bipartisan support behind adequate investment in our vital transportation. That did include the CPI, essentially adjusted increase in the gas tax, and this year it's going to be just a tiny bit more than 2 cents a gallon. I filled up this morning. It's $3.40. I know it varies from sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night. So we think that that is not much savings to the average family, but you've really upset long-term investment in our vital roads and bridges and transit across the state.
Todd Maisch joins us here on the WMAY morning news feed, now 8:42. He's with the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, providing some more reaction to the governor's State of the State and budget address yesterday. Let's talk about whether or not we actually have a balanced budget. It was Groundhog Day yesterday. One groundhog saw his shadow, the other one didn't. So that joke aside, it does seem, though, that, Todd, year in, year out, we've got legislators and governors from both parties saying, hey, here's a balanced budget. But when you really dig down deep into it, is it really a balanced budget?
And that's a very good question, and I don't know that anyone has a definitive answer right now. That's why you have a process. That's why you have the legislature involved, and don't simply take numbers from one source, meaning the administration. So I do think that certainly on the surface it looks much, much better than previous budgets. Is it truly balanced? All I know is I did a quick kind of tally of additional spending that the governor outlined yesterday. And even with enhanced revenues through a recovering economy, I think it's a real question is whether we have a balanced budget without federal dollars that have come in that won't come in again. So I think that should be the test for the legislature. Do we have a balanced budget that does not depend upon one-time federal sources because you just bake that into the baseline spending, and we'll have to find those revenues sometime for someplace else in future years.
Todd, the budget plan also included keeping the EDGE tax credits. How does that help with business in Illinois?
I think that's a very strong idea. That is a tool that Illinois has used very well. Most other states have a very similar program, so if we don't stay up with those other states, we're going to fall behind. And keep in mind that is revenue neutral, if not revenue positive, because we're only allowing some people to keep some incentives if they create more tax revenue than they receive from the incentives. So that was a really good shout out from the governor, in our opinion. We definitely have to keep edge around and look for other tools that will allow us to be competitive with other states for economic development.
Getting reaction to the governor's State of the State and budget address from yesterday. Joining us here on the WMAY morning news feed is Todd Maisch, president and CEO of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. Todd, something else too that Illinois has been grappling with for 8 years in a row, continued population decline. Didn't really hear that as something that was a major concern of the governor. He said that Illinois is a great place to be, but there's tens of thousands of families that are leaving for other opportunities in other states. How do we get a hold of this?
Sure, and I very much agree. If you have that kind of sustained outmigration, something is not working right. So there's no doubt about the fact that we've got to do even better than what the governor talked about. It's great to talk about how we've got the best pizza in the nation. Fabulous. I'm very happy about that. But does it keep families in Illinois creating jobs, raising their families, paying taxes? We'd say no. So we think we've got to do even better when it comes to the economic foundation. We are still lagging most of the rest of the state. We still haven't gotten back all of the jobs we had before the pandemic hit, while most of the states are getting there or already there. So we've got a lot more work to be done.
Todd, what are some of the legislative priorities the chamber has heading into a truncated legislative session? The Senate's off this week. The House is off this week. I believe the Senate comes back next week. The House is scheduled off next week, but after that, they're going to be in every week all the way up through April 8th. But that's a shortened session, and as far as the calendar goes, what kinds of priorities is the chamber looking to get addressed?
We have a number of initiatives, but there are two that we think can get bipartisan support right away. The first is a provision that will help with crime to a certain extent. You're not going to pass one piece of legislation and make crime go away, but this will allow both citizens, homeowners, and businesses to have access to better crime fighting technology. That's our first proposal. The second is dealing with inflation and all the supply chain problems that we heard about for months and months. The biggest problem that everyone agrees on is that we've got a lack of uh, um, truck drivers who have the right license to go ahead and move goods from point A to point B. So we've got proposals on each one of those issues, and there's no reason it shouldn't get bipartisan support and become law.
Todd Maisch, President, CEO of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. Greatly appreciate you taking the time with us, and we'll definitely be connecting again soon in the near future on these and other issues as we get through this shortened, truncated legislative session. Be safe out there, all right?
Certainly. Thanks very much. You too.
It is the WMAY morning news feed. I'm Greg Bishop, and let's take a break, come back, and we will hear about Crime of the Week with